they're always talking about their children and their grandchildren. All they talk about is family. They show pictures. They talk about the accomplishments of my children and how my grandchildren, and they're in this grade and all that. They never, ever, I've never talked to an elderly person in a hospital and heard them talk about, the car they bought or the nice things they had or their house or anything like that. So that is just proof to me that family, at the end of the day, family is all that matters. Family and faith, for me, God, family, like, these are the things that are eternal. These are the things that really matter. It's not the things. So yeah, it's a great point, Allie. Great point. So Go On Adventure, that is a good name. Go On Adventure says, are you against buying in bulk? Are you against buying in bulk? What about the zero waste movement? Our planet is polluted with plastic. That is very true, but as the Kentucky Brown says, unfortunately, America's grocery stores aren't really set up for zero waste. And at least the small ones. I mean, maybe in big cities you can live more zero waste in the US, but if you don't, which I certainly don't, buying in bulk, like when I was talking about buying in bulk, I meant buying like multiples. Like, let's say I find a new type of chips that I like to snack on. Well, what I meant by buying in bulk is just buying like multiple bags of those chips if they're on sale or something like that. I did not mean buying in bulk in a way that will reduce the packaging. That I definitely am for. If you can do that, but there are some ways that we can buy in bulk here in kind of small towns, but for the most part, there just isn't that same kind of bulk zero waste option. So no, I don't want to give the wrong impression there. I'm all for buying in bulk if it's reducing the packaging. I'm just saying don't buy in bulk just kind of like as a prepping thing, or like maybe if you think, it's on sale, I'm going to buy tons of it. That's what I'm more talking about. I definitely am for zero waste. Zero waste is a good thing. All right. Mandy R says, I think being debt-free usually demands that you make some pretty big sacrifices. Other people will look at that and think that you are doing something wrong or just crazy. I think the real key to being debt-free is not caring what other people think. If most of us admit it's really hard to do, it's really hard to do, though. Very true. I think the two keys for me that I've come across for getting out of debt and reducing what you spend is you have to let go of two things. You have to let go of what you want right now, this day, or in this moment, and you have to let go of what everyone else thinks of you. If you're able to let go of those two things, let go of what you want right now and let go of what everyone thinks about you, you can go so far. You can just stop spending on all these insane, ridiculous things, and you could end up like my family, living in one room of your sister-in-law's house, with your entire family in one room, which people think is nuts. And it is nuts, but we are in debt and we're doing everything we possibly can to get out of it. All right, I met someone in a class I taught who, she said to get out of debt, her husband and herself chose to take her, I think they had kids, her family, and move into the basement of his parents' house, and they did that because they knew they would hate it. So they did it so that they would get out of debt as quickly as possible, so then they could come out and get a hold of their own place. So I thought that was awesome. That's a great thing. So yes, good point on that one. David Strachan says, what's your opinion on the whole tiny house phenomenon? Good question. My opinion on the whole tiny house phenomenon is that, first of all, it's great. I love the tiny house movement. I love the idea of saying we don't need these huge houses. We can make tiny houses that are then mobile and can move about. Don't mind the tractors driving by in the background. But I found that for me, I actually used to be like that's one of the big things that got me into minimalism, really into hardcore minimalism. I used to binge and be so addicted to videos about tiny houses, and eventually I had to stop because I was just wasting too much time, and I realized it wasn't really getting me anywhere. I wasn't going to be building my own tiny house anytime soon. But I've decided that tiny houses, while they are more minimalist and simplistic in their size, I don't find them to be necessarily simplistic or minimalist in their design. Like, I would much rather live in a more simple place than just a regular house, but smaller. I'd rather just live in somewhere with even less, bells and whistles, I guess. So tiny houses I don't think are really for me. But I definitely think it's a cool thing and a step up from regular standard houses. All right, Kiabi says, this made me laugh. Kiabi was watching my video about things that you don't need for your wedding, things that you can just get rid of. And Kiabi says, I definitely wasn't a minimalist when I got married. Here are some pointless things I did for our wedding. There was a bunch, and I thought they were awesome. It's a great list. There's two that really stood out for me. Number 9 was, in addition to cutting the cake, the cutting of the tower of different cheeses my mother insisted we had. So it looks like Kiabi had 2 different cuttings, cutting of the cake and cutting of a tower of cheeses, which is just, that's hilarious. Number 15, though, is definitely the best, a magician. Yep, really. Why did I think that was necessary? Okay, that's awesome. I wish I had a magician at my wedding. That's freaking amazing. A magician. So did you have like a literal just like sideshow? How did you even think of that? I don't know, but that's awesome. But yeah, probably definitely a bit excessive. But I mean, Kiabi, that's that's super amazing. Super. A magician. Kiabi then was watching my video about trying to get down into one backpack and says, I really want to get down to just a backpack of possessions. I'm a very long way away from that right now, but that's okay. My first step is to have all my clothing fit inside a suitcase. It feels a bit more achievable, but I hope that I'll get down to one small bag and at some point in the next few years. Minimalism is a journey, and there's not much point in rushing it. It's going to happen in its own time. And I wanted to end with this comment. Kiabi, I love this because it's so true. Like, I didn't always think that I was going to become a one-bag minimalist or whatever. That wasn't even, like, on my radar. Minimalism is a process. It's a journey. It's slow-paced. If when you start out, you're just like, I'm going to go down to one backpack. Some people maybe can do that, but a lot of us can't, and it's not reasonable. So it's important to know, hey, here's a goal I have maybe, and I know I want to get there maybe in a couple years, maybe 10 years, who knows? You might have some vague goals, you might not have goals at all. Your goal might just be to keep pursuing minimalism. But it's important to go at the pace that feels right for you and to go at the pace that excites you. Sometimes, like when I was getting rid of my books, that's a good example. That was something I really had to pace myself with. I did not go down to what I have now, which is just a few books. I didn't go down to that overnight. I had to go down from tons of books down to a lot of books, down to a medium amount of books. I had to keep paring it down. If I had to go down to just a few books in the beginning, that would have stressed me out. You want to avoid the minimalism changes that stress you out and go for the ones that kind of excite you. That's the idea. At least that's what's worked for me. Whenever I get excited about something, and I get excited about going down to just a few books, or I get excited about going down to just one backpack and say, I can do this now, I'm ready. That's how I have kind of followed that minimalist journey. So yeah, go at your own pace. It's gonna happen in its own time. So thank you guys so much for all of your comments, all of your questions. Feel free to leave more down in the comments below, and I will answer the rest of this week's comments again on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day.
I want to be your cup of joe. First sip in the morning, we get you going ritual, and what we sow from within. Let me be your cup of joe. First sip in the morning, baby, take me as I